California.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of For the Fans podcast. We were just talking about Disney and how much we just love the ride. Is Small World after all?
That wasn't the
100% what we were
conversation.
saying. 100%, that's what I said.
I'm not
think
gonna lie.
he's-
No,
as
we were
my-
talking about how Tyler got kicked out.
I mean, to be fair, Small World is my dad's favorite ride. We go on it at least once every time we go.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Have your dad tested?
McKay,
be
this
fair-
podcast is getting far too big for us to joke about me being kicked out of such a happy place. I don't want that on public record.
The happiest place on earth, we should say.
If they
True,
paid me
true.
to go on It's a Small World, I will go.
I don't care how long I have to sit on.
How much are we talking? Are we talking an NFL contract, or what are we talking here?
Man,
Are we
I would-
talking a
give me-
kicker
If
contract?
they gave
or
me
a
$50, I'll be down. I'm like, okay, cool.
If they give me
$50
$5, I'd be like, okay, and I get to stay in the park for the rest of the day. They're like, yeah, sure. I'm like, deal. I'm like, I would do that for free.
I just need a turkey leg. Give me the turkey
Yeah.
leg and I'm good to stay.
That's fair.
Lifetime
fair.
supply of churros.
Yeah, I was gonna say get the churros. Now, I will
Nah,
say I would
nah,
rather
give me-
sit on Jungle Cruise for 3 hours than on It's a Small World.
Facts.
I'd say just get me the freaking the Dole Whip or the beignets or something like that. I'd
Ooh,
eat
the
those
beignets
all
are
day.
good.
They're good.
The best beignets, though, is on Downtown Disney.
Yes, they're much more filling and they're I don't know, I feel like the Mickey shaped ones are just full of air.
Yep. They're just...
We're talking the ones that are at Tiana's place, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That was like, wait, that's the one I get. Am I getting the wrong one?
Yeah,
Have
you
I been
are
living
getting
a
the wrong
lie?
ones. You need to go down to Downtown Disney, and there's like a kind of like a New Orleans cafe, and like right next door they have beignets.
They
Not
got
only do
those.
they have better ones, but now they sell stuffed beignets where you can do like
Ooh.
savory or
They
sweet.
got one with like fruity pebbles on top of it or something
Heck
like
yeah,
that.
I had a
It's
Fruity Pebbles donut this past weekend. I love how this sports podcast we're talking about Disney and food.
Hey, that's sometimes you just gotta deviate a little bit here.
Priorities. You
I
know?
mean, it's not the time
We'll
yet.
start
'Cause
another podcast.
I'm like, we're
Yeah,
halfway
right.
through the season, but the Super Bowl they do say I'm going to Disney World.
for Mickey, that'll be
Mhm.
the next
Yeah.
podcast.
Yep, exactly. We'll put a whole brand new podcast here where we just talk about Disneyland tips and tricks. Although I'm going to be honest with you, I feel like if we were to put that podcast together, boys, I feel like our wives would want in.
Oh yeah, I think
I do all the planning
Unfortunately.
for my wife, so
yeah.
My wife would absolutely want in.
Well, one of our episodes coming up, actually, yeah, one of the episodes coming up, I'll be in Disneyland, so I'll be joining in just to rub it in.
Oh, sure. Of course.
all right,
Alright.
let's dive into some
Anyway, though.
sports.
Sports.
Yeah, we'll move over
Sports.
to what the podcast is actually about. Sports.
Yay,
Yeah.
sports. Let me put my shirt
Alright.
on real quick.
Hey, so before we really get into our picks, though, because the thing is, as we talked about this last week, we always cover a lot of our, the matchups from the previous week. We'll go into some ones for this week. I'll be honest, just a full disclaimer for those who are listening here. The four of us weren't exactly excited by some of the matchups that are happening this week,
No.
so I don't know how much time we will be going into them. There'll still definitely be a conversation, but I also feel like before we really go into that, there's a lot that we can discuss as far as some trades that have already happened, but then also some injuries that have happened. There's kind of a lot that you could cover from this last week that we weren't even really planning on past matchups.
Absolutely.
Fun.
I guess the first thing that I kind of want to bring up with you guys is because I feel like this is kind of just the bigger one here. I feel like every season that we go into, there seems to be some sort of position where you get a variety of injuries that happen at that position. I feel like 2 years ago, you had a lot of running backs getting hurt. Last season, freaking every quarterback got hurt. And then this year seems to be the year of the wide receivers getting hurt.
For real.
Anyone disagree with that?
No, because considering I had to drop, 5 of them from one fantasy league.
Right. We start the season off. You've got, the likes of Puka Nakua and, Cooper Kupp falls out later there. And then, most recently, within the last, little while, we've lost Brandon Ayuk and Chris Godwin. Both
Debo
two
was out for a
season-ending
little bit.
Yep, we've
Well, he
had.
has a different type of injury.
Yeah, his is as soon as he just got sick. But there's other
Devontae
ones too.
Adams.
Yeah, hamstring injury.
Yeah.
Or if you want to be serious, Nico Collins and Mike Evans, who actually have that hamstring injury.
Yeah.
Actually have it.
I mean, we all know that.
I'm calling it like I see him,
We
boys.
all know that was fate.
Yep.
Yep. So how do we feel about that? Like, just how does one go about that here moving forward? Because I don't know. The biggest thing that I think of, and this is kind of something I've been talking about a lot, especially with my wife, and the reason that I've been talking with her about it is because in a lot of her fantasy leagues, her two quarterbacks are Brock Purdy and Baker Mayfield, which means now at this point they have receivers to throw to for the next little bit amount of time.
I think
Right.
Debo is coming back.
He's out of the hospital now.
Yeah, he's out. I don't think he'll come back this week because he's gonna have to recover. From
I don't know.
pneumonia
They
and
were
all
saying
that,
it's a
like,
possibility he's here this week, but
Yeah.
take that with what you will.
Yeah.
Right.
It just seems like, yeah, this is very much the type of position that is getting hurt a lot this year. And I don't know. I guess
Well,
if we
and
want to go ahead.
like one thing I've been noticing, it's mostly like the Achilles or like the knees, it's
Or
the
the hammy.
ankles or the hamstrings, and it's like, yeah, they banned the hip drop, but yet people are still getting hurt in tackles.
It seems like
Right.
most of these injuries come from just roll-ups and sometimes even their own teammates. It's
yeah,
not.
get tangled up.
It's not from
Yeah.
the hit. It's just the
Yeah.
tangle up of the
Like
legs,
Patrick
and the next
Mahomes
thing you
taking
know,
over
you sprain
shit, right?
something. Exactly.
Yeah. Or I mean, it's not a wide receiver injury here, but you want to talk about tangled up. I don't know how much you guys talked about it in the last episode when I wasn't here, but Aiden Hutchinson's injury,
Oof.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
destroying
Yeah.
his leg against a teammate's against a
Shin.
teammate's knee, and then having freaking Dak Prescott sit on it after it's already broken.
Yeah. Like
Ugh.
it's the one that like gets me. It's the Achilles tendon that everyone keeps getting messed up, right? So
Mhm.
like I'm sitting here thinking like, is it like the cleats? Because a lot of like these players have
Them
like,
high heels.
yeah,
Hmm.
they got like the little spine in the cleat that help them like be more explosive or jump or whatever, and it has like some feedback to it, right? I'm like, is that causing all these Achilles injuries?
But what I think is the thing is with the reason we
know?
hear a lot more about the uptick in Achilles injuries is it comes from quarterbacks. Obviously, you had Aaron
Yeah.
Rodgers and Kirk Cousins last year, and then obviously not as big of a loss here, but Deshaun Watson this past week.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
it was
always
plain
when
and simple.
they're and it's always when they're trying to like push off or explode out, and it's bam, and then it just pops.
Well,
It's
that's
like-
exactly what happened. I watched the replay of Deshaun's injury, and it was the same. He was doing the exact same thing that Aaron Rodgers was doing, and you could clearly see it even before they officially came out and said what happened. You watched Deshaun's leg, you saw the Achilles tendon pop and rupture, and you said, "Yep, that's it. He's done."
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to know. It's like, why is this all happening now? Because in the past, at least I've, over the decades of football, I don't think Achilles would be snapping like this. Like, yeah, if they get tangled up or something, yeah, but like them just like running onto the field like last year, and then bam, it just snaps. Like,
That's true.
is it like what is it? There's got to be something going on. That's a
Perhaps it's a
factor.
trade of injuries. Perhaps when forced to tackle a certain way, we're now seeing an uptick of injuries of a different kind. I'm not saying it's 100% correlation, but it's possible.
right
You know,
where they have to purposely slow down instead of
Yeah.
just following through.
you get more of these pileups instead of just flat out 1v1 tackles.
Right.
And so now we're going to see from here on out. Oh yeah, you're right. We're not going to have as many maybe concussions. We're not going to have as many these maybe mainframe body injuries. But now we're going to see these pileups where injuries are still going to happen.
And maybe it's more happening in the lower extremities. I think some
Right.
of them, it's kind of sad though. They're full on avoidable. I mean, this is just my opinion here. The one I'm going to refer to specifically is Chris Godwin with his injury, and I think the biggest thing that was preventable with his injury the way the tackle happened, it looked a little hip drop tackle-ish, and not only that, but the game was decided by the time that injury happened. Ravens had
Right.
won. And that to me, it was just when I was talking to my wife about it, I know I have to do a cross reference here to another sport, but I compared that a lot to when Derrick Rose got hurt in the NBA. I mean, the game was decided. Why was he being played in extra minutes? And it ends up costing him pretty much the rest of his career. And it kind of seemed that way too with Godwin's injury. I mean, it was a dislocated ankle. Those ligaments get really twisted up, and that could be a real difficult thing for him to come back from in the future.
Right, because it's not something they could just medically, surgically go in and fix. Yeah, they can like shorten it, but then that obviously weakens the ankle too. So
I mean, yeah, if you watch it close enough in the video, I mean, you see it. It's almost like his ankle does a full blown 360.
yeah,
Don't love that.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's injuries are a part of the game. They always have been. I just feel like it's a little frustrating when it's just like we're kind of seeing the same amount of injuries and it's just happening to different skill position players each and every year.
right.
It's just how do you make those changes? Because I also feel like the NFL keeps talking about safety, preventing against CTE and concussion protocol, and yet we still have situations like Tua that keep coming up.
Boy. Poor Tua.
He's
So,
not in
anyway.
his right mind.
Tyreek says with Tua back, though, that you should start him in fantasy this week because he's going to go off, and I don't fully believe that.
I'm
Press
hesitant
X
on
to
that.
doubt.
I mean, if he does, hey, I got Tua in a few leagues. If anybody wants him, I am open to trading him.
And hopefully,
I'll give you anyone.
hopefully his quote doesn't come back to haunt him either. I
What
love
was
this
his
game to
quote?
death.
Oh.
That's why he's coming back. It's like, ugh. Bad choice of words, dude. So
Well,
hopefully
I
that
mean,
doesn't happen, because I think that would be the first time ever, right?
That
Like if
what,
someone
sorry?
just absolutely blows him up and like snaps his neck and kills him, that'd be the
Okay.
first time in NFL history, right?
Yeah, the closest we've ever gotten was probably DeMar Hamlin.
DeMar Hamlin, yeah.
Right.
Oh, those
His heart stopped though. That's a
those
little
were
different.
interesting times.
He got hit
I
so
mean,
hard that
there's
it.
a possibility. There's a possibility Tyreek Hill could go off. They're playing the Cardinals this week, and the Cardinals' defense is weak.
Yeah.
It's certainly a
But
possibility. I would
is
consider
Tua
it.
gonna be? Yeah, I don't know. I'm on the
Yeah.
fence about it. I hope he pops off and does well, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know how well Tua's gonna be doing.
Yeah, for sure. Why don't we go into some of our wows and our woes from this last week? Our four picks for last week before we jump into our upcoming matchups here. So, Shane, lead us off here with our London matchup.
The London games of the podcast rivalry of the Patriots and Jaguars were, at first, the Patriots were kicking the Jaguars' butts, and I'm like, you know what, this is okay. I need a change, and then the Jaguars came back and kind of took control of the game. The thing I want to talk about mainly with this is, one, Jaguars look like a different team after the first quarter than they have all season. But I think the biggest thing, this was Drake May's first career start, and he didn't do bad. I mean, given it was against one of the worst ranked defenses at the moment, but he was making some pretty good plays, and I liked from what little I saw of him.
Yeah, I'd agree. I would agree with that. I'm also not complaining because Brian Thomas Jr. did get me some good points in one of my leagues.
BTJ! Man, everyone doubted me when I picked him up in like the last round of every fantasy draft. They're like, man, you're crazy. I'm like, he's gonna do some wonders. And then now everyone's like, hey, do you want to trade him? I'm like, no, not in my keepers league. I'm like, he's here to stay. He's my main wide receiver right now.
Yeah.
Especially when they offer me, like wide receiver 3 on the Giants. I'm like, why would I ever do this?
Trying to please you.
For
Matt,
real.
what do you think?
Well, coming from a Patriots fan standpoint, I feel like what he was able to do with his absolute garbage receiving core is impressive. Like,
That's
it
fair.
showed that he can handle the role. Now, what he needs, and I've listened to tons of podcasts this week. Everyone's like, give this man some freaking weapons. Like,
some weapons, some better coaching.
can you name one receiver on that team besides Kendrick Bourne that are not a Patriots fan?
To be honest, I don't think I could name a single Patriots player outside of Ramondre Stevenson and Drake May.
Right?
Well, I mean, receiver, no. I know there's Hunter Henry there, but that's kind
Right.
Wait, Hunter
but
Henry's there?
Yeah, right. Like, even though he is, like, he's still not doing anything, really. And then, on top of that, like, I feel like they have a good quarterback. They need to focus on it. They need weapons and protection.
Wow.
Just like any other team, but...
Did Bill Belichick build your receiving core? You got Demario Douglas, Keyshawn Bell. Like, I've never heard of these people, and it sounds like people they picked up at a
100%.
Walmart.
Oh, yeah, they got him for super cheap.
Austin Hooper? Gosh.
And then their defense used to be good, but their defense has pretty much been picked apart. Like, they got Gonzalez, and that's it.
Yeah, and then I was gonna say you got Peppers, and then Judon went to the Falcons, so yeah.
Thank you.
Right. So it's just like, they are in hardcore rebuild mode. I feel like they're in like a really bad situation. And two things they need, or three things technically. They just need an actual head coach, someone that's gonna be there, weapons, and some big time players. And since they're going to have a huge salary cap next season, they need to spend money.
Do you foresee a scenario where the Patriots do get the number 1 overall pick and they go after someone like Travis Hunter?
No, he's going to go to the Raiders. I'm not worried about it.
Why the Raiders?
Why not?
I think someone's gonna grab them before. I think he's gonna be like a top 2 pick.
No, Travis Hunter would be nice, but there's no way that they'll pick him up. Like, it would be smart, and he'll be the first player to play two-way in the NFL.
Unless the coach is like, nah, you play one-way, pick one.
Yeah, once he's in the NFL, he's
so,
pick.
I feel like he's dangerous just because he can play both sides, and he's great at both positions, but he's going to be forced to play one, so he wouldn't be as desirable to me.
We're not going to have another Taysom Hill situation.
Right. So, it'd be nice to get him, but he's kind of undersized for a receiver. And then, obviously, on the corner side is probably what he'll have to be at, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, while you're talking, why don't you go into your pick?
Mine? All right. So, yeah, the pick I got this week is the Patriots against the Jets.
Oh, no, for last week.
That was last week. Oh, last week. Sorry. My bad. I got ahead of myself. Plus, I don't really want to talk about this till later because I have a lot to unload. So, I'm just going to say it's the Chiefs and the 49ers.
More to come.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
I have lots to talk about afterwards, but this game I was severely unimpressed on both sides of the
Yeah.
The one thing that everyone's talking about is Mahomes. I feel like the two big plays he had, that 33-yard run, was a joke. He pretended he's going to go out, so everyone stopped, and he runs up the field. Like,
people were talking about
you didn't do anything impressive.
Slide.
Yeah, stop. Like, everyone stopped because they're afraid of lighting you up and getting a flag.
Well, because they didn't they like make it illegal to do a fake slide?
Yeah, because I think a couple people were doing that. But now it's like he fakes going to the sideline, and he's a smart player. I'll give him that. So he recognizes, oh, they're all slowing down. I'm just gonna keep running.
I mean, my thing is, I think that should be counting as a fake slide for the main reason of you as a quarterback. If you are giving yourself up, that should count, because that was the whole reason the fake slide rule came into play, was you can't pretend that you were giving yourself up to draw a flag.
Yeah.
So I think I think
freeze the
something
defense.
should come up for that.
Crystal.
Or do they just need to become more lenient on what's a personal foul or a late hit? When someone's running out.
I think the biggest change they need to make is as soon as the quarterback is scrambling outside the pocket, he's no longer a quarterback. You can light him the freak up if he's running. Granted, like if he's about to throw it, it's the same rule. Like you can't light him up after the ball's been launched. But if he's running around, it should be fair game. You can just
once
take
he's
his head
past
off.
the line of scrimmage, isn't he free game once he's past the line of scrimmage?
Well, even then, I say no. Like outside the passer box, just like when you're outside, like at a certain point, you can throw the ball out of bounds.
Right.
It's not intentional grounding. I think that rule should apply if he's scrambling, regardless if he's crossed the line of scrimmage or not. It's like no, he is fair game once he leaves that box, because then it would allow players to not be like, oh, I gotta like pump the brakes and slow down, while he just all of a sudden accelerates, and it's obviously Lamar Jackson still has the same advantage as well, but I feel like it needs to change because like stuff like that just happens and players are pissed. They're like, really? Like you're about to give yourself up and then you take off. Like you're a scumbag, essentially.
I mean, I think the quarterback is free game once he crosses the line of scrimmage, but that's why they had the whole fake slide rule, is because quarterbacks would fake slide, and if you slide, you're giving yourself up, and too many injuries were happening because of that. And the same thing happened with the sideline. I think what it should be is because there's that white box right on the sideline. I think as long as they're within that white box, if you are hit with contact in that white box, no penalty. But if it's way outside that white box, I think that's a penalty.
Yeah.
So question, is that white box official or is that decorative? Is that like NFL regulated?
Again, it's just the yardage markers. Are you talking about the big white box or the little hash marks?
We're talking the outside
where the coaches are.
Oh, I'm talking about like the little hash marks. If his foot's there,
right.
Like okay,
then you gotta stay going out.
Yeah, then you have to stay going out. But
no,
if you're
about
before
like
that,
the white
you
box
can
where
get
like the coaches are usually.
Okay,
standing.
yeah, okay.
Because I mean that's on the sideline. That is a good amount of space for valid contact. So you can't fake go out of bounds, hop right to the side, and then pop back in. If you are you gotta be like in the white in order to not be hit.
Right.
Or out the white. You gotta clean yourself.
Yeah. I think I'd like that change. I think I'd do something just because it's already soft as it is, and you're protecting all these high-profile quarterbacks. I feel like if you're gonna run, you should deserve to get hit, just like your running back. Plain and simple. Like you shouldn't be protected because the running back, when he's run out of bounds, he gets lit up when he's right there.
Mm-hmm.
Like he gets taken out, and they don't ever throw the flag. But when it's the quarterback, all of a sudden it's like different rules.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that makes no sense because then that gives the quarterback free reign to do whatever.
But yeah, the giant white border around a football field, I think any contact on that white border and inside is fine. If it goes outside, I think that should be the flag.
Right. Plus, you got to take into the momentum.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's like, oh, he touches the white line, he's out. No, like, momentum is carrying. Like, there's got to be some leeway, but at the same time, it the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes.
We've also seen bad calls in the past where it's like a runner, a ball carrier will lean his head into a helmet-to-helmet collision to draw a penalty on a defender. So.
Right. Yeah.
Sadly, it's just crap rules at times.
Right.
And it's more of letter of the law versus spirit of the law.
Yeah. Plus, on that play, there should be a flag anyways for an illegal block in the back, but, it's Mahomes, so they're not going to throw it. I can't remember who it was, but it was the linebacker that was actually about to go after him, and I think it was the receiver that was blocking him, pushed him from behind when he turned, and pushed him out into that white box, and then that's when Mahomes ran up the sideline.
Yeah.
It's like, and then his whole, the topic there talks about his whole lowering the shoulder and blowing up that guy for the touchdown. Not impressed because the guy is horizontal trying to tackle you and you shoulder him and you're like, oh, I'm a big man. It's like, dude, stop.
My
So,
favorite
those
thing
things
about
have
that though is that I saw.
frustrating the crap out of me all
Did
week.
you see the picture with both players without their shirts on?
Yeah, it's Mahomes
Oh,
with a
yeah.
dad bod. The other guy's ripped.
But
yeah.
the thing is, like, he was in the position, he had all of the center of gravity, Mahomes. He was standing up, he had his feet planted, the other guy was diving to him, and then he just bodies him. It's like, dude, it's not that impressive. Anyone could have done that.
Yeah, but it's still very funny to look at.
Well, it's still funny, but it's just everyone is, quote unquote, glazing him that, oh, take a big hit. I'm like, no, he can't.
It's like DK Metcalf when
Stop.
the interception happened, he just chases down the defender.
Right. But yeah, but other than that, then going back to San Francisco, I feel like they've just been hosed by injury. Like they've been so unfortunate, and they've just been out of sync. Just because it's like every week it's something new that they lose. So I feel for the Niners. Like they have tons of talent, and it's just everyone in that skill position is just getting hurt.
It's the Super Bowl
Or
curse,
shot.
what it is. Yeah.
CMC
So-
brought the Madden curse with him.
Right.
Well, no, they lost
But-
in the Super Bowl last year. It's the Super Bowl curse.
Yeah.
Wow.
The
so
thing
they
is,
got the
though-
Madden and Super Bowl curse.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Plus, I think honestly, I think Purdy played really well. Even though they lost,
For what he had.
yeah, he pushed the ball too much towards the end, but he's still playing good. Like I love how everyone's attacking him, and I just like you shouldn't. He played a good game. It's
Mhm.
just he doesn't have weapons, and the ones that you claim he does, they either get hurt or they're just not in form yet.
Right.
So ugly game either way. Yeah. It went down.
Yeah, sure.
So speaking of ugly games,
Here we go.
so the Jets have decided that they don't want to play this year. They've decided that they're going to take a year off, a season, because Aaron Rodgers took a year off, and now his entire team wants to take a year off. And I respect them for that. I think it's nice to know that there's a team out there that, has that much talent, but yet still chooses to lose week after week. You know?
Yep.
And I gotta say, the one I did not expect in the slightest which quarterback would come out of that game the hero and which would come out the mockery of the NFL. Like
Could have gone either way.
What the heck, Russell Wilson?
Yep.
And I have heard it time and time again from different people. Russell Wilson's old. Russell Wilson's old. Russell Wilson's old. Can't scramble like he used to. He looked pretty young and flexible in that game. He looked like he was doing just fine scrambling. He was doing just fine dodging tackles,
He was
And-
still
dropping dimes. I mean,
Yeah.
he by no means do I think he's Josh Allen. I don't think he's Lamar Jackson. I don't think he's some great scrambler who's going to be amazing. But that's never been his strong suit. But he doesn't look like one of these older quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
And I got to give it to him. He played a phenomenal ball game. I went in thinking, "Oh, here we go," and nope. But anyway, take it away, guys. I'm sorry. I've just I've thrown all my emotion into this game, and I really was not on the Russell Wilson bandwagon. I was not in his country, but maybe I'm starting to get on board.
Nah,
I-
I'm still on the
Country,
Justin
let's
Fields
melt.
train.
Yeah. I love that Devontae Adams lost to the Steelers twice this year.
Right?
Twice in back-to-back weeks.
Twice. Yeah. It's like talk about just like
He loses to
Oh.
the Pack, or he loses to the Steelers with the Raiders, gets traded away, and then immediately loses to the Steelers again.
Yeah.
So
So
But
now
let's see.
that homeboy is reunited, do we think Garrett Wilson is actually staying?
no.
There's been
He's a
calls.
goner.
I think he should go to the Niners.
I think they need him.
He's a big body, and I think he would do a lot better in that system.
The Niners'
Even
healthiest
if-
receiver was shot in the chest 2 months ago.
Right. Yeah. So so I think that needs to happen. Like he just needs to leave that dumpster fire. It's like he's had a great season so far. He did a good season last year. Just jump ship. Don't be part of that drama. That's going to just be worse. But
Agreed. I mean, look at the Packers now, right?
yeah,
I'm sure they are extremely grateful that they have moved on to Jordan Love, and now they're rolling forward. I mean, what a heck of a game.
Yeah, there's changes that still need to be made along all those lines. If you're talking Packers, you got Jordan Love, who obviously is throwing the most interceptions right now, and then on the other side, Jets. I mean, at this point, I think Aaron Rodgers isn't too far off from making actual suggestions like, "Hey, why don't we change the color of the green for the Jets to
I gotta
a lighter
correct
colored
you,
green?"
McKay. Gotta correct
What's
you.
that?
I gotta correct you real quick. Jordan Love actually doesn't have the most interceptions.
Oh, it's not him? I thought it was.
I
Nope.
read it was.
It
Who
is
is it?
Patrick Mahomes.
Is it really?
It's actually tied between Mahomes, Love, and Minshew. But yeah, they're all tied with 8 interceptions.
Okay, so technically I was right, but it wasn't him solely on the mountain.
Yeah, but Patrick Mahomes is on top of the list, so technically he's first.
You had to throw that in there because of your disdain for Mahomes.
Yep. Gotta remind everybody.
Okay, but to be
Anyway.
fair, Jordan Love has missed games this season so far.
That is true.
That's true. That's true. So per game,
Then
Jordan Love.
Taking wind out of Matt's sails.
But I will say Jordan Love is leading in a couple categories other than interceptions. So
He's got
He's
that
like
one.
There's
Josh
that.
Allen.
yeah, he might throw a lot of interceptions, but he's on top with the QBR. Completion percentage is up there. His yards per game is up there. So, it's fine. But
Patrick Mahomes, I
And
think,
to
was
which-
ranked 18th out of the quarterbacks this season for just overall play.
And yet Chiefs fans would respond to you guys and say
Yeah.
which between the Packers and the Chiefs is undefeated still.
That's fair.
No, we'll talk about that later. I have so much. We'll move on before I
Okay,
go off.
let me go
I
through,
just-
let me go through my
Like-
matchup here really quickly before we
Yep.
go into our one for this week.
Yep.
So, since we're on the subject of the Packers, we'll stay in the NFC North. I got to talk about the Vikings and the Lions game. The Lions still seem to do pretty well defensively, even without Aiden Hutchinson. They really made it difficult for Sam Darnold at points, but I think here's the biggest thing that I want to take away from this game. On the Lions side, Jahmyr Gibbs is lethal. He is really starting
Yes.
to pan out. It's absolutely terrifying. Not only just as a running back, running the ball, but also as a receiving back. It's terrifying. It's cool to see what the Lions are putting together there. Meanwhile, on the Vikings side, I do think we have to come to this recognition here. They are more legit than we thought they were.
Oh, yeah.
I think that they're not necessarily frauds, but they're not pretenders either. So I'm curious to keep my eye on the Vikings. As of right now, if you're looking at the NFC, there are a couple of what ifs in a lot of different divisions. I still feel like a lot of the NFC East is still going to be a mad scramble between 3 teams just for even one of them to make the playoffs. Same thing in the NFC West. Seems like a total mess over there in that division. The NFC South is a little more fleshed out right now. I really believe that's be a race to the finish between the Buccaneers and the Falcons. And if the Buccaneers lose all their receivers, it seems like an easier path for the Falcons.
We'll take it.
You're right. But then the NFC North, at least specifically the 3 teams of the Packers, the Vikings, and the Lions, all 3 of them could crack a spot in the playoffs and actually do potentially well.
Right.
I'd love to throw the Bears in there, but one of them has to lose out, and it's going to be Chicago.
I
Right.
think Chicago's also benefited from one of the better schedules where every team they've beaten has
Exactly.
been bad.
Exactly. So Chicago's going to go into its gauntlet here soon, which is where I say one of them has to lose out, and when we go up against these other 3 NFC North teams, Chicago is the odd one out here. But
Right.
Vikings, Lions, they're real. They're both really good. And Lions are probably one of the top teams in the NFL right now. I would
Right.
sooner predict the Lions or the Ravens as teams that could win the Super Bowl than that of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, I would take a Lions
Oh,
Ravens Super
100%.
Bowl.
That's all I have on that one. You guys feel free to chime in.
I think
Yeah.
we're good. We can churn through this week matchups because I don't think we really care for too many. And then because we don't have a
Nope.
whole lot of time left, we can get into Matt's conspiracy and have
Oh,
that
yeah.
for the fun.
Yeah. So
right,
my matchup, I'll go first. New England Patriots and the Jets. It's gonna be a show. Like I'll have it on, but I definitely won't be paying attention. I think even though the Jets are super favored over the Patriots, I think Patriots are gonna remind them who their daddy is, and the Patriots are gonna win.
Well, dang. Throwing the daddy comment.
Yep.
Right.
And I've got to immediately upset that by saying, despite what I said earlier about the Jets just wanting to lose every single game, I do think they pull one off against the Patriots. This is one of the ones I still have them winning. And even though I think they had a tougher matchup last week, I do think that I think Aaron Rodgers has his week to shine, but I do think that this is probably the end.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'm gonna say that a broken clock is right twice a day, and this is gonna be one of those days for the Jets where they will get something figured out here to at least get a win against the Patriots. It's going to be an ugly, ugly affair, and Aaron Rodgers is probably gonna throw a pick or two, but they will find some way to just barely squeak by a win against the Patriots.
Just remember, it's in Gillette Stadium.
Yeah, I'm still going with the Jets.
I'm still going with the Jets as well. I mean,
Yeah.
I think rekindling that connection with Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams is going to be the key to success here, which is why I'm saying Adams is going to be the matchup monster.
Matt, if we are all wrong and you are right, you can rub it in next week.
Honestly, I probably don't want to. It's just like, well, okay, they won, cool.
We won, but it was cost.
Matt's in the same boat as I was last week. I want my team to win, but I also want them to lose.
Yeah, because it's like you're just getting further away from that first round draft pick.
Yep.
But matchup monster for me is Stevenson. If he can come back and light it up, I think he would keep the game out of the Jets' hands.
Much of the focus is going to be on the Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers connection. It's going to open up a lot more
100%.
possibilities for Breece Hall. Breece Hall.
Okay.
Yep.
I like that.
I'm not just saying that because I need him to go off in fantasy. I am saying that.
Well, you need him to get at least 3.5 points more this week.
Yeah. Oh, man. All right, Shane. Take us to the next one.
All right, the next one I think is going to be honestly one of the better and more interesting and fun matchups for this week, which isn't saying a whole lot. I got the Bengals and the
One of the
Eagles.
only few.
Yeah. And that's the main reason I picked it, because I'm like, the Bengals are 3-4 looking to rebound. The Eagles are 4-2. It's gonna be a fairly even matchup. I have my ups and my downs with the Bengals, but if they really want to push for this postseason, I gotta say the Bengals have to win this game, so which is why I'm gonna pick them. And I think Joe Burrow's gotta be that guy.
Yep. I would agree. I think the Bengals can have it. I think they'll win if they can get their offense turning.
If
click, if they got to start out good. I feel like maybe at least 6 or 7 consecutive passes that are all completions. If they do 50%, I think that would just kill them for the rest of the game. So I think it's all I think it's in Joe Burrow's hands as well.
Yeah. Tyler, go ahead. I'm sure we're probably going to agree, but you go ahead and speak for this.
Despite how little I want to say it, I think Eagles are going to take this one. I think Eagles have a strong enough defense to stop the Bengals from getting this turning. Obviously, I think the Bengals, I think the Bengals have the talent, but I don't think it's going to happen this game. I think Eagles come away. I think Barkley's going to run all over them, and I think this is not going to be as close as we think it is. I think it'll be close, but it's going to be one of those games that doesn't feel very close.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the Eagles' offense is as stellar as we like. I think they can run all over them, but I don't know that it's going to be some high scoring shootout. I think it's just going to be, I think Eagles are going to dominate playtime.
Yeah. Just to pile onto that, my biggest concern is the Bengals' run defense. I don't have faith in it. I didn't even have faith in it when the Bengals got their win against the Giants. I think it was Tracy who scored a touchdown for the Giants. And it's the Giants. And the Eagles have, in my opinion, the best running back in the game right now. So that's why I stand by it'll be the Eagles this week.
Now, I'll say this just to counter that. The Bengals did go into a shootout against the Ravens, and the Ravens were very run-centric for the most part. And I think it's going to be the battle between Burrow and the offense versus Saquon Barkley.
May I suggest a difference of defenses, however?
I mean, yeah, I won't detest that.
Not saying that's going to be the only factor, but
no, it's going to be a big
anyway,
factor.
I can keep running. I feel bad. Matt's mentioned he's like, I can't take the Patriots every week. I feel like I take the Falcons every other week, but at least it's every other, guys. So bear with me. But I took the Falcons and Buccaneers. I think we're seeing the division, not only a good division rivalry, we're seeing the race for the division. Obviously, Falcons are up 1. If Buccaneers take this, then it's still, I think, going to be a close match. But I see Falcons taking this. I think we are seeing a weakened Buccaneers who have played their butts off. I mean, holy cow, what a game last week. But still, I think Falcons come out of this one. I think they got a little humbled last week with that big difference in points from the Seahawks, but I think they're ready to play.
I think I'll agree with you with the Falcons for the main reasons the Buccaneers are missing some of their key pivotal offensive weapons, and I think it's going to be a bit of a struggle to get by without them.
That's fair. Go ahead.
I was gonna say for me the biggest thing is the last time that these two teams matched up, they went into overtime with the Falcons getting the win. I believe that the Falcons will get the win on this one just because at this point a lot of the strength the Buccaneers had to stay in that game is now obsolete.
Right. The funny thing and the hardest thing before I let Matt share his wonderful opinion that we all appreciate is I don't know who in the world I would pick as a matchup monster. I want to pick someone from the Falcons, but I have no idea. I feel like the Falcons are a very well-balanced team. I want to say London, but I don't know. I feel like I've got to go with the passing game in this, but we'll see.
I could definitely agree with that. Sorry, Shane and I were doing a little bit of extracurricular activities over on our Google Doc, but Matt, go ahead, bring us back on track here.
All right, let's focus. And guess what? The Bucks all the way.
Okay. Why?
Oh.
I think because Baker Mayfield is a freaking dog. Yeah, he just lost his people, but I feel like he's going to make a difference in this game. If they lose, he's going to make it close. I don't think it's going to be a blowout game. And honestly, yeah, they're riddled with injury on the receiving side. They got 3 dudes healthy. But I feel like with Baker Mayfield and how he plays, I think he can rally the team together. He's the matchup monster for me, but I think Bucks.
Let me add a matchup monster to go with that too. I know I picked the Falcons to win, but I'm gonna say as part of that matchup monster, let's go with Cade Otton. He's been a good receiving target for
yeah.
Mayfield even before the Godwin and Evans injuries.
See,
Right.
I think you guys are on the wrong track, but the right track at the same time. I'm going with Rashad White.
Yeah.
He's been the running and receiving threat.
Yeah, but he also uses Bucky Irving a lot too, so it's hard
Yeah.
to really pick between the
I
two.
mean,
he's
Rashad
kinda
White had
questionable.
2 touchdowns in receiving last week, and he was the leading
Yeah.
rusher.
Yes, that's true.
Right. Yeah, I think Mayfield's gonna show his quality to be kind of like that unorthodox leader on the field, and he's gonna lead by example. So that's why I think he'll be the magic monster, and I think he'll pull him through.
I do love Baker Mayfield. I think he's a fantastic quarterback.
Baker's gonna bake.
Plus, their defense is still solid. They don't really
That's
have
true.
really any missing pieces. So
But
that
how
could be
solid
a
were they? I
problem.
mean, they may not have holes, but
Right.
I don't know that I can say they were a fantastic defense.
Right. Well, they're
defense
just gonna
before.
have I know their coaches have that discussion. Okay, like defense, we're hose on offense. You guys need to step up. You know,
Right.
do better. So yeah, my 2 cents worth.
I'll switch over here just towards the end so we can get into our For the Fun stuff and Matt's conspiracy theory. Okay, I want to make this one quick because initially when this one was picked, I thought this was going to be an intriguing matchup. I picked the Bears and the Commanders for this one, but problem is it's not so intriguing anymore now. The fact that they are pretty much saying that Jaden Daniels will not play in this game.
Yeah.
So that means we do not get our Jaden Daniels Caleb Williams matchup. So with that, here's the biggest thing that I've been talking about with a couple of people today is Washington has a good defense, or excuse me, has a good offense, and I think it still can have a decent offense under Marcus Mariota, but we don't know that for sure. It looked good this past week, but they were playing the Panthers, so who's to say? But the one thing that the Commanders don't have is they don't have a solid defense. Their defense struggles. Meanwhile, on the flip side, you have the Bears, who their offense is, they're still trying to get it figured out. They're still getting it up and running, but they have a solid defense. And I'm wondering if that defense will be enough to maintain control of the Commanders while the Commanders' defense is on the weaker side, allowing Caleb Williams to exploit some parts of that. So for that reason, I am going with the Bears in this game here, and really more the matchup monster will be to what level can the defense of the Bears disrupt the Commanders? Because I believe that Caleb Williams will still make mistakes, and I believe that the offense will still have issues. But at the end of the day, that defense, it would kind of be like the Titans, prove pivotal in overturning some things that are going momentum-wise for the opposing offense.
I can respect that, but immediately must contradict you. I think not contradict you, just go the other way. I think Washington's going to come out of this. I think that Mariota's going to be decent. Obviously, I watched him most of last year. He's not a terrible quarterback. I think he can step into the role pretty well. He's a decent throw, still pretty good at on the rush, on the run. And so I think he'll hold together pretty well. But I do think that this game is mostly going to be on the ground. I think probably both ways. But I think that Robinson will be my matchup monster for this one. I think he's going to have a heck of a game, and I think they're going to have to go to him more. My prediction is they get a decent early lead, and then they just try to hold on to it.
Okay. Matt, Shane?
I gotta say, the Bears. for the main reason, I think if Jaden Daniels was playing, I would pick the Commanders every day, but
So would I.
but with no Daniels and the Bears just having so many offensive weapons to choose from, I think they should be able to do some damage over the Commanders' defense.
I'm going against all y'all. I'm just kidding. I think the Commanders are going to win. I feel like this is a big game for the Bears, and knowing big games in Caleb Williams, he's going to choke.
Yeah, I just want to be careful about that though, because you said the same thing about the game in London against Jacksonville.
Oh, but he didn't choke. I said that though. I was like, hey, if he can, not get the whole traveling thing bothering him, he'll be all right.
Is this such a big game now though at this point, Matt? Because Jaden Daniels isn't playing, so I just wonder that. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to say that you're outright wrong or anything like that. I'm just wondering, is it really that? Are the stakes really that big in this game? Because this kind of seems more like a throwaway game at this point.
Especially a game where most people are picking them to lose.
Yeah. I think it's more of the fact that it's playing against a good defense is kind of where I'm standing at.
Yeah.
So, but
okay.
Plus I like to be devil's advocate, so
Okay, yeah, there we have it. Okay. All right, so sounds like it's time to switch gears into some of our For the Fun topics here with the remaining time that we have. Matt, you probably need to take it away here a little bit with your conspiracy theory before we dive into either of our other topics. So let's hear it.
So all I'm gonna say is that it continues strong. Yet again, Chiefs are protected with penalties, tons of holding all over the place, and they, yeah. And then, I've had a lot of people tell me, they're like, hey, what are you going to do if, especially I think it was Shane that said in the text group today, that, hey, once if he breaks all the records, are you going to be okay with calling him the GOAT? I could never find the reel I wanted to send to you guys, but it was two guys, and they're like a basketball podcast, and they're talking about the GOATs of basketball. And one of them said, no, it's always going to be Michael Jordan. And he explained why. He's like, right now, yeah, LeBron James has all the records. He is a greater basketball player and more talented than Jordan. But Jordan is the GOAT because he is your go-to if you had to choose who to build a team around and who you want to be playing in the finals.
Take it one step further with that argument, though, and I would actually say that Jordan had is the best player, but LeBron has had the best career.
Right. So it's you could say he's the GOAT, but it's he's not really the GOAT. Yeah, he's an amazing basketball player. And Mahomes, yeah, he's a great quarterback. Even if he has all the stats in the world, and let's say he wins 5 Super Bowls, even if he wins 6, and everyone's like, oh, he's got to be the GOAT because he's got 6 and plus all the records. It's but I would still take Brady. Plus, he's beat Brady once.
See, I'll
go
and say two things to counter this.
When it matters, I will say that. When it matters. Plus, the other argument that I want to, that kind of goes with this, is that if they do go undefeated this year, it's not impressive. I'm not impressed if they go undefeated. Because the difference between the Patriots going undefeated in 2007 and the Chiefs in 2024, drastically different. Patriots owned their opponents. They beat them senseless leading to the playoffs, Super Bowl.
More what I want to see, just to add on to that, though, is who were the Patriots playing against? Because I could definitely get on board with that idea as far as who those players were for those teams that the Patriots beat in 2007. To be honest, I'm not overly impressed with the schedule that the Chiefs have right now. I think it's potential for them to go undefeated because a lot of their more difficult opponents, like the first couple of opponents in the season, they beat them potentially with a little help from the refs. And now they've got an easy schedule from here on out. But I'm looking ahead here at the Patriots schedule from their undefeated season. And yeah, Matt, you're right. There's a lot of big blowouts that happened. But
well, that's what I'm saying. You could compare, yeah, they might have had a weaker schedule, but the teams that they played that were difficult, they blew them out.
Yeah, I was going to say the closest games that I'm seeing here where the Patriots did not blow them out, and it was a close one, but still a win, against the Ravens, who had, the likes of Ray Lewis, against the Eagles, who had Donovan McNabb, and against the Colts, who had Peyton Manning. Whereas all their other ones were absolute destroying results.
Right. So that's where I stand with all the different conversations that are going this week between us and just the radio, news outlets, all the sports people. It's like, you guys, granted, in words of Michael Jordan, you can't compare them because were in different eras, but at the same time, you can kind of do that a little bit just because Brady was here when he won Super Bowl against Mahomes. But
So here's my question: do we need to do away with the title of GOAT?
Well, I have counterpoints to all of this.
Honestly, I think it comes to a personal thing. It's like, what is a GOAT to you?
I was going to say, it's subjective, 100%.
It's subjective, 100%. Now, if you want to say he's the GOAT at the quarterback position, okay, yeah, probably not if Mahomes keeps his pace, because Mahomes will statistically be a better quarterback. But as the GOAT, as in all aspects, it will always be Tom Brady.
See, I don't know.
Are you saying
that.
his ability to build a team around him?
I think building a team and making players better and challenging them to be better, Brady has over Mahomes. Mahomes can lead a team. He can motivate people. He can get them going, but he can't build up players that don't already come to him built up.
Oh, Shane, I want to hear your thoughts on this, because it seems like you're going to take a different direction.
I have a very, very different direction with this, and I'm not saying that Brady's bad. I'm not saying that. But if you look at Brady, because you're talking about looking at Brady and how he elevated his team, blah blah blah, did all this stuff, which he did. Not disputing that. But also look on the other side. You said Brady beat Mahomes. I wouldn't say Brady beat Mahomes, because we gotta remember it's a team sport. Tom Brady has never had a defense ranked worse than 17th overall in the league. And he has normally had a top 5 defense. When he hasn't had a top 5 defense, he's 9-6 in the playoffs and 1-1 in Super Bowl. So Patrick Mahomes on the other side, he hasn't had a phenomenal defense the entire time that he's been playing. He's kind of been leading the offense and being the offensive guy, which I think is going to be one of the main parts. And I'm not talking about like title of GOAT, like let's just say, like we know that Brady's the GOAT right now. And I'm not saying if Mahomes beats all of his record. I'm saying if Mahomes like shatters it. Let's just say Tom Brady won how many rings? 7?
Mm-hmm.
What if Patrick Mahomes won 14 Super Bowls and broke every single passing and every single record that Brady has? I think that's when we would see the changes. Like, Brady was good, but if it's double the Super Bowls and beating all of Brady's records by a substantial amount, I think that's when we would change it. I mean, this is all what ifs as well.
Yeah, no, because winning's a part of being the GOAT. Will Chamberlain, he's technically the GOAT of wins and championships and finals, but in basketball. But yeah, no, I would agree with it, but at the same time, it's like...
Whoa, back that up. Wilt only has 2 rings.
Oh, not Wilt. Oh, sorry. Where the
Back
crap
that up.
is?
You're thinking Bill Russell. Do
Bill
not
Russell,
mix the
thank
two
you.
up.
Thank you, McKay. Bill Russell. Because
Jordan
talks about that all the time.
I love how heated McKay got in there.
But
Matt knows this from our time working together. In fact, you guys all know that. Like, I know my stuff for football, but if we go into the realm of basketball, I'm like,
yeah. But like, yeah. So if Mahomes does do that and he doubles Brady, and just does, okay, yeah, he's the GOAT because he's won more, better stats, yes. But as it stands, no. Plus, on top of that, I always tell people, has Mahomes gotten hurt? Longevity is huge in football if he can stay healthy. I would love to see what happens to Mahomes if he blows out his knee and is gone for a season. I would like to see what he does when he comes back. And once Andy Reid retires or their defensive head coach is not Spagnuolo.
One thing I'm going to throw into there too that I sometimes like to use this as a bit of a GOAT debate is, did they change game. You know what I mean? Were there certain rules that got put into place because of how
definitely.
good this player was and how good the game was? So the example I'll use again, going back into basketball, because it's already been brought up, but you had Michael Jordan. You had the Jordan rules from the Bad Boys Pistons as far as like if Jordan had the ball, you knock him down. They had specific rules to take him out of the game and make it difficult for him, and that's just an example right there too of how opponents essentially had to adapt, or rules were generally changed in order to combat a player. The same thing could somewhat, it's not completely a straight across the line comparison, but because of Brady's knee injury, we had to get rid of the low hit on the quarterback. That had to be a rule that got changed because of that knee injury that he suffered. So because of his impact in the game, we had to have changes that happened. So I see that as a big impact that Tom Brady's had on the game as well.
I'm shocked you didn't say the tuck rule.
I was gonna say the
I
tuck
was
rule.
trying to be respectful.
Someone was gonna do it, but
I
yeah.
mean, I will say
No, I get what you're
this.
saying though.
Have you looked at the comparison of both Brady and Mahomes in their first 7 seasons in the NFL?
Oh yeah.
Okay, that took a lot of wind out of the sail. But for those that are listening in, so
Gone.
Mahomes in the first 7 seasons of his career beats Brady in every single category. And some of them are by a decent amount. Like passing yards, he had 7,000 more passing yards than Brady. Interceptions, he had 15 less than Brady, which I thought was shocking because I don't remember Brady throwing the ball over that much. But yeah, it was just very interesting. Like they have the same amount of championships. Mahomes has more Pro Bowls, All Pro, blah blah blah. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how Mahomes' career progresses because I think that if he has as long of a career as Brady, he may surpass Brady.
I think it's possible.
I've again I argue people, yeah, it's possible, but
There's always a but.
huge but. So granted, you'd have to dive really deep. We could save this for next week, but look at what support Mahomes has had in a coaching staff standpoint, and then versus Brady. They both
Are you
obviously had
saying
great
Belichick is
no,
not-
not head coaches, not head coaches
Hang
because
on, yeah.
not head coaches because they've always been there. But I'm talking about like defensive coordinators, offensive coordinators, and what they were allow or help the team. It's like, yeah, Belichick is 100% a defensive minded. Andy Reid's on the other side of the ball. He kind of just is an offensive genius. So it's kind of hard to compare the head coaches because I feel like, one, I prefer Andy Reid over Bill Belichick.
Same.
But that's, yeah. But TBD.
No.
Because you never know. Belichick could just all of a sudden be on the Raiders and they win several Super Bowls.
Now here's a
Sorry.
follow-up question to this because we're talking
Not
about the
gonna happen.
GOAT, we're talking about everything else. So Matt, I know that you're a big Patriots fan. I know that you love Tom Brady, but I gotta ask this, and I feel like other people would want to know too. Do you hope that Brady remains the GOAT of all time forever?
No.
Okay, that was something I was very curious on.
It just can't be Mahomes. It can't be Mahomes. Like, the thing that bugs me about the debate is that they were calling him the GOAT his first 2 years.
Oh yeah,
It's like,
I will agree
calm
with
the F down. Like, he's had no adversity. He has a revolving door of weapons. His defense has always been good. He has an amazing coaching staff. Like, he hasn't had those, 4 years of just trenches, playoff, fighting for your life in the playoffs and missing it, and then come back next year and fight again and miss, and then finally win. They've just been consistent, which isn't, I'm not saying that's not why I hate it. It's just he's had a great system around him for the past 5 years.
I mean, I think we're getting an interesting turning point with Mahomes because he's been struggling this year, and they don't have a good receiving core.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot
Yeah,
that can be
I
covered with it.
yeah, I just I it drives me nuts that this year's the way it's going. I've heard a couple people in different podcasts. One thing they should do is just end the season now. Let let the Chiefs win, get 3-peat, get all that crap over with, and let's move on to next year.
With no Taylor Swift, please.
Yeah, please just make it stop.
I want my football to be about football and not off the field drama like I'm watching the Kardashians.
Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
let's get back to football, please. And I blame
That's my favorite
100%
drama.
the Chiefs for that. But as soon as Travis Kelce, like, that's why I kind of want this year over. It's like, fine, give them the 3-peat. They can have that in the bag. If they ever need an argument down the road, get Travis Kelce to retire, and then we get back to football.
See, I don't blame the Chiefs for the off the field drama. I honestly blame Aaron Rodgers for the off the field drama.
Him and his,
Dark
Hobbit hole retreat.
He's always doing something. He tries to make everything about him. I'm like, I just want you to play football.
True. He's a hardcore narcissist, that's for sure.
Now, I guess this is my question since we're shifted the topics. Do you think we should take it easy on the rules and allow more contact again?
Oh, I
keep it the way
am
it is?
1000% for that, and I've been about that. I think the refs tried to alter games a little too much, and I like the refs that will let a lot of things play.
Right.
But I understand like safety is important.
Oh yeah, and I get that. I just more of like it constrains. The reason the offenses are all blown up all the time is because the defensive players are constrained to how they can tackle and how they can hit.
Oh yeah, I think the hip drop
Too
was
much.
like
Yeah,
I
hip
think
drop
defense,
tackle. Yeah.
I think defenses
Helmet
have
to
been
helmet,
limited. I think taunting is borderline dumb because some things I'm like that wasn't really taunting, or the excessive celebration. I'm like, come on, let them have a little fun.
Yeah, let them celebrate. I love that part. I think it's kind of funny what they come up with, but
It was a dark time when they took away celebrations.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I think they need to allow like the big hits and big plays because I've always been a defensive guy. I would rather have the game be completely shut out because the defense is just either a sack machine or just it's 3-and-out consistently on the other side of the ball.
I don't always
3-and-outs
wish
all
that
game.
because that Patriots Super Bowl a couple years back was boring.
Oh, I love that Super Bowl. It was
Ugh.
amazing. Like both defenses were just beasts. I'm like, dude, I love this.
It got stale after a minute though.
Ah,
I love
I could
defense,
see.
but it was just from a spectator, it gets boring just seeing 3-and-out punt.
Oh yeah, of course. But I love that I love the denying. It's like, oh, you thought you were gonna get touchdown? Not really.
I'm not watching the Canadian League where they punt every 3 downs.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So my conspiracy theory is still consistent. Refs are in the pocket with the Chiefs. You can't convince me otherwise.
I mean, I won't fully.
They have their plan for the year. I just hope our saviors are the Ravens and the Bills or the Lions and the Kings.
Gentlemen, I think that probably wraps it up for tonight. But there's a lot that we can still cover, that's for sure.
Yeah. We can do. When's the trade deadline? Is it like in 2 weeks?
Yeah, it's like right after Halloween.
Yeah. We could probably cover, the trades and all the rumors because I know that's different guys.
Such as D-Hop getting traded to the Chiefs. So the Chiefs, so many people are like, oh, the Chiefs are gonna win everything because they got D-Hop. I'm like, D-Hop hasn't been that great.
He's kind of washed.
I'm like, if this was like 6 years ago, D-Hop when he was on the Texans and like one of the top 3 best, yeah, I would be all for that. But he's been to the Cardinals, he's been to the Titans, he's kind of done.
Yep.
I would need to see some big plays from him to believe that he is worth his salt.
Yeah, so I know tons of people in fantasy leagues are dropping someone and trying to race to grab D-Hop.
Yeah, I don't know about that. But we'll see. Maybe, I don't know. I'd have to be really shocked.
For me, it's more I would drop a wide receiver 3 for D-Hop.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, boys. I think that is it for tonight.
Sure.
Appreciate everyone tuning in. A lot of good conversation, and we will see you all next week.